In today's video, we're going to take a look at a couple sport Bremont pieces. One of them is the MB in Savannah in grade 5 titanium, and the other one is the Supermarine Chrono in black. Now, these two sport pieces were lent in directly from Bremont, so thank you, Bremont. Shout out, Christina. You've been excellent to work with. But guys, this is not a sponsored review. I'm under no obligation to be favorable. In fact, I'm going to share my opinions good and not so good. I'm not being paid. I'm not getting a discount. I'm not getting a free watch. Actually, I was gifted a very cool Bremont jigsaw puzzle, so I'm going to enjoy building that with my daughters later on in the week. But no, this is not a sponsored review. I'm just going to give you my impressions and my opinions of this UK-based watch manufacturer that sits at the luxury price segment and creates very toolish, very robust, and original designs. Now, that's something that I value. I'm a sport watch guy. I love dive watches. I love chronographs. I love tool watches. I'm a little bit toolish myself personality-wise, and I really enjoy having just a robust watch on wrist that I can take in almost any situation. I can go camping. I can go kayaking. I can go hiking. I can play with my little girls. My 3-year-old can drop the watch on the floor, and I don't have to freak out. So admittedly, I'm a little bit more drawn to Bremont because they are so toolish. They are hand assembled at the Wing facility in England. And I like the fact that other countries are kind of, I guess you could say, stepping onto the horological global stage, outside of Switzerland and Deutschland and Japan. I guess if you look at history, the UK has had some really nice history in manufacturing watches over the decades. And so I like the fact that Bremont is kind of going back and celebrating that. And if you look at the dials of their watches, you won't see Swiss made, even though they're using modified, very well dialed in Swiss made movements. You'll see London printed on the dial because they take a lot of pride in manufacturing and hand assembling almost every component, all the components that they can, and again, shipping them out of England. So very impressed with that. Couple of things that they do really well. I like the fact that they have their own alloy, their own stainless steel. So this Supermarine Chrono will have a proprietary alloy that's heat treated. The stainless steel is heat treated and then diffused with carbon and bombarded with electrons. And so it takes the hardness rating up 7 times to 2,000 Vickers. So essentially, it's going to be as hard as the sapphire crystal on the watch. Incredibly difficult to mar, to mark, or to scratch. And I like that. It's very similar to what Zinn does with their tegamenting process on their German submarine steel. Bremont is doing their own thing. And again, I think that's pretty cool. Now let's take a look at this MB Savannah in titanium. This is grade 5 titanium. It's coated. We have the classic 3-piece case construction here. And this watch, essentially, it's designed to withstand an insane amount of force and still be accurate. This watch was designed to be ejected out of a fighter plane and continue to run and to work. In fact, any fighter pilot that has to eject, Bremont gifts them one of these MB watches, and they have a special color configuration only for the military that's had to, be ejected. And apparently, I learned this. It's really interesting. Anytime you're ejected out of a fighter plane, your spine compresses because of the immense forces. Your acceleration. It's wild. You lose about an inch of your height. And you can only be ejected twice before the strain, the forces on your body is so much that your spine, it can't withstand those forces anymore. So you can do 2 ejections and then you're done. You're grounded. You can't physically do any more. You'll likely die. And so the fact that this watch can withstand multiple ejections out of a fighter plane, that's just wild. It's overkill. But as a watch enthusiast, I like that over-engineering. And let me explain a little bit about the process here. So essentially, we have a rubberized movement mount that houses that very well dialed in modified ETA movement. And then that rubberized movement mount is attached to a flexible ring that attaches the movement assembly to the outer portion of this tri-piece case construction. So the idea here is to isolate the movement from the shocks associated, basically have it not free spinning, but free floating within the case. And that's pretty cool. Now, we also have a Rotoclick internal bezel that operates on 4 different ball bearings. It has a very loud mechanical feel. I like it. The knurling found here on the 2 crowns and also the mid case is very sharp, very defined, very toolish. And I look at this aesthetically, and I think it looks dang cool. I like the taupe militaristic tones here, the monotone. I think it's original. I like the fact that they're not trying to do another Submariner or another Seamaster or play off of other brands that have lovely horological history. No, Bremont's doing their own thing, and that's something that I respect. Now let's take a look at the Supermarine chronograph. Again, this has proprietary stainless steel that's hardened, and then we have a DLC coated mid case, a loomed ceramic bidirectionally rotating bezel, 200 meters of water resistance, a dual time feature on this ETA based 7750 chrono that carries a Glucidor balance, an Anachron hairspring, a Niviflex mainspring, 42 hours of power reserve. And if you look at this thing in low light, it is incredibly impressive. In fact, I think this is the sharpest chrono that I've had in low light and filmed. The loom is potent, it's long lasting, and it's in contrast to the MB Savannah. That one, I mean, the loom is almost laughably bad. And then in daylight, it doesn't have the contrast that I would like to see in a tool watch and a sport watch, even though it looks really cool stylistically. So this chrono, I mean, it has a very different feel. It's almost more classic in its execution. We have contrasting register rings here with concentric circle texturing. We have a railroad track. We have use of different color from taupe and tan to red and white and black. And I think it's very cohesive. It's very sharp. Now, the downfall here with this Supermarine Chrono, it's the tactile action on the bezel. Sometimes it's very pleasant, and then other times it just feels a little different. And that could be attributed to the fact that this is a press unit. It's a loaner piece. It's probably been passed around a little bit and might need some attention, but these watches are dang cool. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot going for them in terms of having proprietary tech, being robust, being accurate, being ISO compliant, all of that stuff, the originality, but it comes at a price. You know, if you're going to support a brand manufacturing almost everything that they can in-house, by hand, that's going to come with a cost. And so these watches, they're not what you would call affordable luxury. I mean, they do compete with Omega, they do compete with Breitling, they do compete with Zenith and Grand Seiko. And I would say some of you watching this would go, Bruce, why would I buy Bremont, over a Grand Seiko or over a Breitling or over this or that? I want to get an Omega Aquaterra. And I would say if you're a first-time luxury buyer and you've never experienced, spending thousands of dollars on a silly luxury item like a watch, you need to get it out of your system. Go look at Omega, go look at Breitling, go look at Zenith, and get a little bit of name cachet with your purchase and flex a little bit and say, yeah, look at my freaking Tudor on my wrist. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think, again, if it's your first time spending luxury money, maybe go look at some other brands. If you've already got that out of your system, maybe you don't care about flexing. Maybe you don't care about name brand recognition. Maybe you like flying under the radar, getting value, getting the robustness. I think you should take a look at Bremont because they're doing some really impressive things. And personally, I'm interested in Bremont. I would like to buy one because I do go camping. I do go rafting. I do a lot of sport-based activities. I don't want to freak out if my newborn gets a hold of my watch and throws it down the stairs. I don't want to have to worry about that stuff. So I'm interested in Bremont. I think they're doing some really cool stuff. I want to thank them for lending in these two really interesting tool watches that they're not perfect, but they're really compelling. Thank you, Bremont. Thank you, Christina. And thanks for that jigsaw puzzle. I'll definitely enjoy building that with my daughters. And thank you guys for watching today. Please reach out with any specific questions. And I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time.